Well, a good afternoon, viewers, and a warm welcome back on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. This is the QTV by Liz Jogger inside the United Arab Emirates, and of course, my name is Elizabeth Jogger. Now, today we are on the second episode of the aviation news. Yes, we are bringing you information regarding which airlines are ready for flight after the coronavirus pandemic, which has so far claimed about 399,000 lives. The number of pending cases are 6.5 million, and we are looking at 3.3 million recoveries worldwide. Now, we have shared the first batch of airlines that are ready for flight, and today we are looking at multiple airlines like Air Philippines, South African Air, British Airways. We are looking at Cathay Pacific, Kenya Airways, and a lot more other airlines. We start with South African Airlines, which is the official flag bearer for South Africa. And on the June the 5th, 2020, a low-cost airline part affiliated with South African Airlines that is called Mango, which is also the group of SAA in South Africa, plans to resume flights on the 15th of June, but is yet to get final approval from the Department of Public Enterprises, according to the company's spokesperson. In the meantime, Airlink has started taking bookings on its website for flights from the 8th of June, that is day after tomorrow, while Safair is taking bookings for flight resuming on the 15th of June. The news was reported by South African Defence Web amid halt on operations for around 2 months due to the coronavirus lockdown. Airlines have seen their revenue fall to close to zero, continuing to spend money on aircraft maintenance, salaries, debt currently under bankruptcy protection, and only plans to restart operations after November. We expect that demand will be quite thin, said Kabi Gordon, the spokesperson for Safair, which will start operations across 4 airports in South Africa and Lanseria in Johannesburg, King Shaka in Durban, and Cape Town International Airport. Gordon also said that Safair planned to fly around 25% of its usual schedule, adding it's expected to share of the market to be greater than the normal given the temporary absence of other players. Financial models also show that it could take between 3 to 5 years for the airline industry to recover to what it was pre-coronavirus, according to Kabi's statement. It will take more than 4 years for air travel to revert to the pre-corona level, said Roger Foster, who is the Chief Executive for South African Airlines and only allowed to fly for business purposes on level 3 of the country's coronavirus lockdown, which entered into force on June the 1st, whereby leisure travel is currently banned. Now we move on to British Airways, which is the flag bearer for Britain. British Airways and Aer Lingus, that is the owner of Consolidated Airlines Group IAG, said flights could resume with 50% capacity by July. It comes as IAG announced a series of cost-cutting measures to combat the devastating impact of COVID-19 has inflicted the travel industry since February 2020. Due to travel restriction, passenger capacity has dropped to 94% from late March, with most of British Airways aircrafts being grounded or operating reduced service for repatriation and cargo flights only. IAG added in its planning a meaningful return of service in July with capacity of 50%, although the company has also added that these plans are highly uncertain and subject to easing of lockdowns and travel restrictions. IAG bosses say to the firm had a strong balance going into the crisis, with £8.7 billion only available in their kitty. IAG hoped for the UK government to bail them out after the Spanish government gave the business, which was owned by Liberia, as loans. Customers and our people are properly protected in this new environment, but with no help coming from the IAG has chipped into the Bank of England loan scheme, although this has not stopped the firm announcing the plans for up to 12,000 redundancies, which will adapt the new operating procedures to ensure that they cut on cost and maximize on any available profit. We do not expect the passenger demand to recover to the level of 2019 before 2023 at the earliest. This was according to the spokesperson of British Airways, which means the group-wide restructuring is essential in order to get through the crisis. Now we move on to Lufthansa Airlines, which is the flag bearer for Germany. Your safety and well-being are our highest priority. That was the comeback statement for Lufthansa airline, which is the German flag bearer, starting on Monday, 8th June, as it becomes mandatory to wear face mask during boarding the flight, while in the flight, and while disembarking from the flight. All Lufthansa Group cabin crew with direct customer contact will of course also be wearing protective clothing together so that they ensure that travel remains safe even in the times of the novel coronavirus. Before you start your travel, please make sure to familiarize yourself with the country of specific regulations along for your journey, as it is already compulsory for many airports that you are aware of the travel advisory if there is any restrictions or not, and Lufthansa is not going to take responsibility. We kindly ask you to bring your own face mask, and for the sake of sustainability, we recommend a reusable mask. Thank you very much, Lufthansa Airline. That is quite thoughtful. Now we move on to Air China, which is the flag bearer for the Chinese people and is planning to operate 24 international routes between June the 1st and July the 1st. And the carrier said in a statement posted on its website that it has added 2 additional routes to its June schedule compared to what it had in May. These are the routes linking Beijing capital with Madrid and Manila, and the airline said it will fly the following routes in June. We move now to Air France. Air France is planning to increase its flight schedule during June. The carrier has resumed flights a few destinations by the 3rd week of May and has now released a schedule for passenger bookings all the way to August. At present, the airline is serving 43 destinations, just 3 to 5% of its usual schedule, mostly maintaining a skeleton service to French regions and links with key destinations in Europe and worldwide to both passenger and goods. The airline says it intends to gradually resume its flights with an increase in the number of frequencies and destinations, especially to and from metropolitan France and the French Overseas Department and Europe. The increase is subject also to travel restrictions being lifted, which they are waiting for more approvals. Now we move on to Air Italia. AlItalia, which is the flag bearer for Italy and has announced plans to ramp up services this month of June and is supposedly including resumptions to its non-stop flight from Rome to New York routes from the 2nd of June. In total, the airline will operate 30 routes to 25 airports, which are 15 inside Italy and 10 will be abroad. You may refer to the information of specific airports on the carrier's website, that is alitalia.com. The additional services will see capacity increase from 5% of pre-coronavirus levels to 15% by the end of June. AlItalia has also suffered much of redundancy of its workforce, being among the most impacted countries from the novel coronavirus. Now we move on to Cathay Pacific. Cathay Pacific and its regional wing, that is Cathay Dragon, intend to increase their flying capacity from 3% to 5%. That is going to be between June 21st and June 30th. Hong Kong's flag bearer said it will operate 5 flights per week to London Heathrow, Los Angeles, Vancouver, Sydney, 3 flights per week to Amsterdam, Frankfurt, San Francisco, and Melbourne, and a number of cities in India, which will include Mumbai and New Delhi. They also released a schedule of daily flights to Tokyo, which will be landing in Narita Airport, Osaka, Seoul, and many more. Their wing of Cathay Dragon will also operate daily flights from Kuala Lumpur, Beijing, and Shanghai in the wider mainland China. These flights are also subject to government travel restrictions, say the carrier in a statement posted on its website by the 5th of June. Now we move on to Korean Air, which is also planning to resume several international routes by this month of June and next month, July as well, according to South Korean Yonhap News Agency. The carrier was planning on resuming the flights on the 19 international routes from the 1st of June, according to the news agency, and also the Business Traveler Pacific Asia has reached out to the airline for more details on the routes it plans to resume, as the Business Traveler has commission arrangement and does pre-book seats on behalf of Korean airline group travelers. And we move on to Philippine Airlines. Philippine Airlines, that is PAL, will gradually resume domestic and international flights on select routes starting June the 8th, that is day after tomorrow, the carrier added in a statement that was posted on its website on the 31st of May. PAL said it will operate limited international services on over 20 routes in the Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Asia, amongst which there were also to be flying repatriation flights to Australia, Singapore, and the United Kingdom. Now we move on to Kenya Airways, which is our main feature today. That is the official flag bearer for Kenya. A statement was issued on the 1st of June that Kenya Airways plans to resume passenger flights from June the 8th to select international destinations, where the information is discreetly published on the Kenya Airways website. Kenya Airways just done repatriation flights from Nairobi to London on June the 4th and June the 5th, and it will operate flights from London to Nairobi on the coming 15th only for Kenyan citizens. Kenya Airways has since the COVID-19 outbreak operated a series of repatriation flights using modified wide-body passenger aircraft to uplift cargo as well. The airline has yet to give an indication which regional and continental destination will be first out of the starting blocks and when long-haul operations might resume, and the information is expected in the coming week. In the Eastern Africa region, Rwanda Air, Air Tanzania, and Uganda Airlines are working towards the relaunch of the flight operations, but without having any set dates. Rwanda's government has already placed an increase in funding for Rwanda Air to cushion the losses the airline has been adding up since the global air traffic has come to a halt in March 2020. Tanzania has already opened its airspace, but there is presently no takers who are willing to launch scheduled flights in Tanzanian airspaces. In related development, it was also learned that Air Tanzania's intends to lease, and that will be coming forth on the Air Tanzania's official website. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Aviation News second episode. I have been your presenter. My name is Elizabeth Joga. I do wish you a pleasant afternoon.